Forgot about Avowed? Don't worry, pretty much everyone else did too. It's been quite a while since we got anything on Obsidian's latest project. Specifically, the last news we got was the gameplay trailer back in summer of 2023. I covered pretty much all the details we had in my upcoming RPGs of 2024 video, which you can watch here. Finally, we were able to get some new info on the game's latest showcase. They're calling the Xbox Developer Direct, that they definitely did not swipe from Nintendo. Anyways, here's everything that we saw in the new trailer. First of all, we got some different enemy types, showed off a little bit of the combat. These enemy types are defensive or shielded enemies, got really big shields, are able to take a lot of damage. We got brutes, also able to take a lot of damage. They're very tall and brooding, as you would expect a brute enemy to be. And we have healers, which are responsible for healing the enemies that you're facing. So depending on these enemy types, you can prioritize different ones. So if there's a healer around, probably want to go for the healer first, because if you're damaging the enemies around him, he's just going to be healing them, etc., as you do in most RPGs. So it's nice to see these different enemy types. Also, loadouts will be a part of the game as far as what you're using for your combat. Your loadouts can be changed on the fly. The loadout will be based on both of your hands. So you have your main hand and your offhand weapons. So these can be varied. You can choose between one-handed or dual wielding. For dual wielding, you can use dual wands, dual melees, dual pistols, and you can do a combination, which you can use a pistol and a sword. Or if you want to use a magical melee type of build, you can do a wand and a sword and all that other type of stuff. There's several combinations you can do. And I like the varied aspect of the combat in terms of what you can use as far as your weapons go. You also have special skills to assist with your combat possibilities. Like the one spell that they showed off quite a bit was what they're calling Tanglefoot, which is the spell you see that whips up the vines from underneath the enemies and then binds them to one spot so you can better use your weapons on them. And your wands have abilities as well. You can use a freezing spell to get them stuck into one place. It's really nice the type of dynamics you can do between what you have as your weapons and your special skills, like your magic and all that stuff. So it's really nice to see that combination to give different variation in terms of combat in the game. Now, as usual for any RPG, we have quests and side quests. Quests and side quests will have several different choices and consequences for said choices, as this is an Obsidian RPG. The demo quest shown was basically about a camp of soldiers that were killed in a battle, and the player has to decide whether or not the only survivor of the battle survived based on sheer coincidence, or he fled the scene as the battle happened. So depending on the player choice, the characters may react in different ways. And when going back to town, they say you'll see the consequences of your actions and the choices you made along the quest. So with the example quest they give, they say you can either tell the lone survivor that they were a coward, that they fled in battle, and he may react aggressively. He may get aggressive and want to fight you because you're accusing him of fleeing like a coward and stuff like that. So you can see they're kind of honing in on this aspect that they're really known for. Obsidian is really known for their player choices, giving the players choice and allowing them the freedom to choose what kind of path they want to go down. If they want to be an evil monster, or if they want to be the legendary hero that everybody, is used to. So in this aspect, I think they're trying to expand further and have characters actually react to your choices. And it could be in combat, or it could just be, oh, I don't want to talk to you kind of way. So I think that's going to be a really, really heavy aspect that they focus on, because it's Obsidian and they're really big on storytelling. I think this is going to be one of their big features. So the art style. So they take a look at the art style. They have many different regions to the continent of Aora. It has many different biomes, and you can actually get a peek of those biomes that they show off. It has different colors of areas that can change based on the biome or region type. So the example that they use is the Shatterscarp region that they're calling it, and it has warm, really muted colors and a whole lot of deserts. And as you go further along, it transitions into colder tone oasis area with a bunch of water and docks and all this stuff. And you can actually see the transition of colors as you go along these different regions. So I really like that aspect. It's really cool to see how much a map can change based on where you're going, and to go from a region that's kind of desert and very dry to a oasis sort of island style is really neat. And I really hope they do a really good job at putting that kind of landscaping all over the map, depending on how big the map is. So my overall thoughts and takeaways: the game is looking way more polished than the original gameplay trailer. I would say that the graphics are looking very good. They're kind of more stylized than most Skyrim-like fantasy RPGs. I use Skyrim as the measuring stick because that's kind of the most well-known fantasy RPG of today. I've seen a couple of criticisms saying that the game looks old and from a previous generation. I don't think that's the case. I think it's just that the graphics are stylized in a way that people may not like, and they're expecting some sort of like grand, ultra realistic, RTX enabled type of RPG, but that's not what Obsidian is making, and they never stated that they were making that. So I mean, I guess they feel misled by the initial trailers, but those are CGI trailers. We know how that works. So I'm not sure what people are expecting. The game looks good to me. It holds my interest. That's all I care about. Animations for the combat look really good. I think the enemies need a lot more animations, or just smoother animations. They look a bit stiff in the trailer, but other than that, the animations look really smooth, especially for the player combat. Dialogue and choices are looking good as well. It's Obsidian, so it's pretty much expected that they're gonna knock it out the park on this aspect. If you know me, you know Fallout New Vegas is one of my favorite games of all time, and that was heavily based on how much choice and actual role playing you can get out of that game because of what Obsidian stands for and what they were able to put into Fallout, allowing you to really feel like you're in the game and get immersed because you're able to roleplay so well. So I'm expecting this game to have a lot of that, especially since they're touting that you're gonna have a lot of choices in the dialogue and all the choices will have consequences. So I'm expecting that to be heavily worked on with this game. That being said, the consequences for character choices are pretty vague right now as they're outlining it, but based on Obsidian's history, I think it'll be a key feature. They're just making it very vague right now in this gameplay overview. I'm sure later down the line it's going to be some more explanations and more details in terms of that. So for the future trailers, future news we get on the game, I completely understand Obsidian is just getting started with the game's rollout. I mean, the game is not coming out until fall of this year, so they have plenty of time to give us new information, new trailers, all that good stuff. I just want better explanations on the main plot details without them spoiling too much. I know that happens a lot with these type of games where they spoil a lot of the story in the trailers, so I'm hoping that's not the case with Avowed. I just want a better look at what the game is going to be about, considering that it's going to be so narrative heavy. I want to have some more details other than your player has a special power and they're connected to the living lands. I want to know more about what this power is. You don't necessarily have to tell me where it comes from because that's going to spoil a lot, but you can tell me how the player interacts with this world, how the world reacts to the player having this power, and what it means for the world in general. So I need clear explanation. Also, I want a closer look at factions within the game because it's said to have several different factions, as most RPGs do in this regard or in this genre, and I want to know their goals in the game so I have a better and clearer picture of what I want to kind of align my character with in terms of role playing. I think that's something that Bethesda kind of did sort of a good job with in terms of Starfield, even though that game is getting heavy criticism right now. They did a good job at kind of explaining what each different faction was trying to get out of, the main story, and what they represented. So I want a better look at the factions in Avowed. I also want a closer look at how weapons are obtained. That's a really big aspect for me. I want to know how we get weapons. Do we pick them up off of, just enemies that we've killed? Do we craft them? Do we, how do we get weapons in the game? How do we get these unique weapons that they've talked about, and how is that progression gonna come? Like, how do we obtain that level or that aspect of the progression system? And lastly, I want a moment-to-moment gameplay showcase, kind of like your typical 15 minutes of Avowed gameplay that you see from IGN. I know we'll get that later down the line, but that's definitely, I'm expecting to see that because we got a little taste of that in the game overview, but it wasn't exactly moment to moment. It was just spliced clips of what I assume is testers playing the game, and I want to see what it looks like moment to moment. I want to see what it looks like to walk up to where a side quest is or where a main quest is. I want to see what that looks like. So definitely they need to give us a moment to moment showcase of the gameplay. Other than that, this is just my thoughts on the game so far, on the game overview that we got in the Xbox Direct. Let me know what you guys think about the game in the comments down below. Are you still excited about it? I've heard a lot of people aren't hyped about it anymore. I wouldn't say myself that I'm hyped. I'm cautiously optimistic, as we should be in today's day and age. So let me know what you guys think of the game in the comments. Like the video if you enjoy, subscribe to the channel for more, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.